All right, this is actually rather embarrassing. It did not work well at all. The audio was horrible. So I'm going to see if I can just voice over this really quick, and we'll transition over. So here I'm talking about the fact that I'd like to test out this camera angle and the microphone, and now you know here in future land that it did not go all so well. But we're going to go through a few things that I've picked up or run by, ordered in the mail recently, and give you now a feedback not only on the camera angle. The microphone was just unusable. The audio was unusable. But this is also a re-recording now of me, right? So let's see if this... hi. We're doing, that's the showcase. I don't have that set up quite right. But anyway, so back to this. Eventually here I'm going to get to start to talk about this hotspot. And this hotspot has been a little bit of a distraction for me lately. I can't talk about it too much as I'm still figuring out some of the legal implications with that. But this device came in, as you see, like a return bag or whatever. I got it for about $7. It had a SIM card with it, but it had the wrong charger, no back, and the battery was already exploded. But that didn't stop me from figuring out how to get it to power up. So you see those three leads. One is for positive, one is for negative, and the other one is a temperature sensor. Now the temperature sensor does help you understand what the temperature of the battery is, particularly from a charging standpoint, and it is a safety mechanism. So in order to bypass it, I'm going to have to plug in a USB device, right, to supply power. The device will do tethered Ethernet, and eventually I end up finding out that it is a Android device, at least per the drivers that I saw loaded in via dMessage and LS-USB. So that's exciting. Now I ended up having to find a battery pack because I remembered what I had originally plugged it into was PD, was USB-C power delivery, and it didn't know how to fire up, so it doesn't work with PD. All right, these are one of my favorite little battery packs that take 18650 style batteries, and later on we'll get into how you can recycle those a little bit and then use devices like this to bring more life, especially when you have a battery pack that's says that it's bad, but not all of the cells are bad, or you'd like to get a little bit more life out of it. So we're going to fire that device up, and you know, this is one of the things I really do like about finding either old electronics or other things, is that just because there's not a battery for it, or maybe you're not sure whether it still works and you want to test it, there's a couple different ways that you can go about doing that. I'm doing one of them. The way that I did this originally was with my bench power supply, but you don't have to do that. Now I will warn you that using lithium-ion batteries, those cells, which are the 3.2 to 3.8, 4 volt, you do need to be careful because they are high current. They're low voltage, high current. Anyway, so this device does successfully turn on. I was able to get into it, and then frankly I started going into finding out about some of the AT&T bounty program, and you'll see more about that in a later episode, because I did find some vulnerabilities in their network, but I'm not at liberty to discuss that right now because it's under their review. So, moving along, otherwise, it's a pretty neat device. One of the things that I found quite fascinating about it was that it had a lot of these hotspots don't allow you to do port forwarding like you would from a router. Like, you know, you can port forward external ports to internal ports, and that device actually does let you do it. I looked it up. You can get them for under $100, closer in the like $50 range. So it's not like it was that big a win. Now here's my next device. This is a really nice SD card reader that I ordered from Amazon. I don't have the packaging, but I really like it because it only uses, it only provides the two SD card formats that I care about, the micro and full size. I've been using it with the teacup to be able to transfer operating systems, etc. You can see there it's a USB 3.0, might be just 2.0. I'm not sure, but it's got the blue plug, and it's the high quality SD card reader that will pop in and out. It's got a nice braided cable to it, so I like it because it's small. A lot of card readers have, you know, compact flash and all the different TF sizes, maybe even a memory stick if it's a little bit older. But for this one being fast and only having what I need, I really like it. This is the next thing. We went to Aldi yesterday and I found two of these little waterproof cases for about $5 a piece. Fantastic for transporting your electronics. I was particularly looking for something that would allow me to throw my teacup in a bag in my briefcase when when traveling. This is me showing you the size comparison of the next smallest Pelican case that I own. So anyway, so this is fantastic. It's, you know, really designed for a phone, obviously, but fantastic for throwing into a briefcase. And I did start showing this because I wanted to, I did a foolish attempt at trying to give you the satisfying ASMR of the click for the SD card. So you can see there I have my TTL adapter. It looks like the camera went out a little bit out of focus, but then recovered. I've got the Tinker board in there. And so I'm overemphasizing now that there is, that it's one of the high quality clicking. Yeah, click, 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 click. You like that? Click, click. All right. Let's keep on moving. It's probably the same, it might even be the exact same part that we used in the teacup. All right, so we're just going to kind of tuck those things back together. You could probably put that SD card reader in there too. The latch is medium firm, just so we know, clear on those cases. That is something about the Pelicans that I don't like. They are hard to get in and out of, but they're also, you know, durable and for sure waterproof. Okay, so this is a battery pack that my wife found for me at Dollar Day. It's 11.1 volt, I believe, and if you do the math there for those 18650 batteries, that works out to where there should be about 6. And I think I questioned myself, and so I wanted to make sure I measured. But yeah, so I'll take this apart on a future episode, or really even just a short, but I like taking these out of dead packs and reusing them in these battery packs, especially because there's there's battery packs that will, you only have like 1 or 2 cells, or they didn't wear evenly, and so you can take out the cells and keep getting some life out of them. And these aren't super cheap, but they are about like $10 depending on the capacity. Anyway, you can see I have another one. I think I took that out of a chainsaw battery pack. But yeah, so you can fit, there's likely 6 in there. That's my guess, is that there's 6 cells. Now this is from, in theory, a brand new battery pack. I don't know which laptop it's for. Frankly, I don't really care. Most of these kinds of user replaceable battery packs are the same. They have these 18650 batteries. For example, so does my microscope. And whenever I do get a proper case together for the teacup, we'll be using 18650 batteries. So it's got that battery pack has nice voltage readout and your amperage, and so you can see whether your power delivery is working correctly. Okay, we're going to put that aside for a moment. You can see I did get my oscilloscope back out and those things together. This is a really cheap, I think it only will do 10 megabit, but it's supposed to do 10/100. It's a cheap USB adapter that came with a Chinese laptop that I purchased on a whim. It does work, and it works well with the teacup. So, a kernel module that is included with mainline Linux for USB Ethernet works there, and I've had success on the teacup using it to give Ethernet. Our next item up is part of my under test series that I'll be doing for the teacup, where we go through and we use all of the different kernel modules and I/O, the GPIO configurations, to add things like Ethernet, LCD screens, digital microphones. We'll be testing the audio in and out, the analog in and out, and then general, I2C, SPI, and just general, LED blinking. I got 2 modules. I do have 2 teacup boards. Now this module has already been tested by Captain Ron, who is most of the time 2, 3, maybe 20 steps ahead of everybody on testing things. He's charging forward, has display link working, other things, X Windows. Okay, here next up is this video capture device, and I'm actually using it, so I'm not going to show you at the moment, but it does work really well, and my Elgato only worked on Windows. This works on Linux. I highly recommend this brand, mainly because it's so inexpensive and it'll do 1080p. I've been very surprised at the cost difference. One of those Elgatos just a couple years ago cost $150 or so, I think, and it's not just unofficially supported on Linux. It's not supported at all, even with the open source initiative. Now, of course, these guys are trying to bribe me a little bit by giving a positive review for an Amazon gift card. I don't know exactly how I feel about that. I probably won't be filling that out unless I really put this thing through its paces. Because if I am going to really review something, I need to really review it. And thus far, I have this hooked up to my HDMI matrix, and it works. But I haven't really been able to get it to be under test properly to be able to certify their claims. But it is really nice, and it uses Type-C and includes a little Type-C to A adapter in the box. I like the price because I can own several of them, right? Now, here's another thing I got from the return outlet. I think I got about 24 of these. And then separately, I ordered these white dry erase marker labels. And so, you know, those are the kind of things you might put up in a store or whatever, or general organization. Well, they fit in there quite nicely. And it's just your standard kind of Altoids tin. I have actually considered using this as a giveaway tin, where I just take different hackable things that are in different states and use them as a giveaway. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in that, or join our Discord and talk to me more about the kind of things that you'd like to see in a giveaway. That are Uno, I have several of these Unos that need to be either replaced because I wore them out or have other kind of issues. I have a sleeve of those Atmel chips. These labels are nice because they're removable, and the other thing about it, let's see if I'm going to say this here in just a second. Obviously, you could write permanent marker on there if you really wanted to. But I like it because I've got a lot of little things, and you've got to organize those things. Still looking for my universal organization philosophy here, especially something that's not just like cardboard boxes. Anyway, there's a neat trick with these. If you stack them, there's a little bit, you know, they become a little bit sticky. But if you rub them together back and forth at all, they'll take off the label. But this is kind of nice because you have a bunch of these stacked, let's say, around, and you want to keep them grouped together. It's a nice little side effect, unintentional feature of putting these labels on these boxes. And I did look these up. These aren't very expensive. You can get them in bulk from sellers on AliExpress, and I'm sure some other places. I think it would be really cool if I had a laser etch or a laser cutter device. Then I could do some cool labeling and art on them. So if you've got one of those, you know, you should do that as a project. I don't know. I would love to have one of those laser cutting machines, but I just don't have one yet. Okay, I think this is our last item. It's the WaveShare 4-inch resistive touch LCD. And again, this is one of those things that I'm going to be putting the SDK and generally the teacup for the Ingenic T31 under test. They have what they call a smart controller, and they also have touchscreen input through an ADC. This is an 8080 type interface, or kind of a parallel interface, and so I should be able to drive it directly from the teacup. There is code online for Arduino and well, a microcontroller. I don't remember if it was Arduino. It might have been one of the WaveShare featured like a, I forgot what it's called, BeagleBone, right, kind of platform, I think is maybe what it was originally for. Anyway, there is source code, a good source code example for a similar panel within the SDK, and so I think that I can get a driver running. Also, running this on like a Raspberry Pi should work. I'll make sure that it works first on one of those platforms, and then get to having it work on the teacup. I would love a small built-in display on the teacup. Captain Ron has had some really good luck with those older USB 2.0. Oh, and here we're just wrapping up, so I'm just going to switch back to the live camera. Captain Ron is, again, several steps ahead of us. He's just like very prolific in his testing of USB devices and other sort of things. I'm following behind, maybe a fast follower, maybe a slower follower, trying to organize the information and get it up on the website, and add a little bit of value to the SDK's run through of the T31 chip that we're using in the Teacup Tinkerboard. All right, well, thank you very much for joining. Sorry for the voiceover, but hey, we'll see how well this worked out. I'm just gonna keep trying, because with each attempt, my likelihood of success gets better. You have to practice these things, and I really enjoy your support. If you'd like to see more, if you'd like to see me improve more, feel free to subscribe, or even maybe drop into our Patreon site and pay it forward a little bit. All right, thank you so much, and thank you very much for the Patreons that have helped support this effort, and particularly some of the cabling and other things to be improving my system. In the meantime, happy hacking.